Hi there, this is Archive Moon with Star Siren Astrology coming to you in this incredibly full, juicy, mythical moons in Pisces. The full moon in Pisces is my absolute favorite because it brings up the deep wells of our ocean, of our subconscious and dreamy and mythical nature. You know, it brings up the parts of us that we are not always in touch with. And when it's in Pisces, Pisces rules this dreamy, music, creative, metaphorical, collective, conscious, archetypal world. It's the part of us that longs to dive back into that ocean of consciousness, dissolving into samadhi, into the bliss of all that is. You know, Pisces is this beautiful longing to come back to spirit, to come back to wholeness and perfection in the imperfection, you know. And so the full moon in Pisces is a really powerful, emotional, deeply spiritual and mythical moments. And she's actually coming to conjunct Black Moon Lilith and Neptune, who's been opposing all of that Virgo. You know, the last new moon, that new moon in Virgo, we had the sun and the moon and Mars and Venus and Mercury and Juno all in Virgo, you know, giving us this earth and giving us this desire to devote ourselves to that spiritual longing, to bring it into the body, to bring it into our daily routine, into practicality. You know, it's like, get it done. You know, make your like longing and what you're here to do align with what you're actually doing. And Neptune was opposing all of that. And so now the moon has come to meet up with Neptune. And so when the moon and Neptune come together, it's, for one, very spiritual moment. It's a moment when our subconscious and emotional parts of ourselves can be attuned and aligned with the furthest out planet in our solar system. You know, Neptune rules that deep ocean. It rules Pisces, and it's in its place. It's in its home. And it's in a long journey of calling us home, you know, showing us and revealing to us that deep longing to come back to spirit, to remember where we've come from, to remember the times when the bridges were built, the bridge to the spirit world, the bridge to the plant and the animal kingdoms, to the fairies and the star systems and all of the beings. And so this has been a journey of us remembering, you know, those deep spiritual truths. And yet it also rules illusion and addiction. You know, Neptune to me is like that veil. And the veil is like when you lift it up and you peer through it, you can see, you can remember, you can traverse the spiritual world. We can communicate. And it's also known as the fog of confusion. It brings this sense of like, where are we? What are we doing? It's like, it creates this goo, this heaviness, this depression, this sense of, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know where I belong, I'm lost in this world, you know. And so with that deep longing to connect to spirit and to remember who and where we are, what the hell are we doing, with all of that, brings up these parts of us that seek and we long and we want to get lost, we want to get raptured, we want to be fulfilled. It brings up all of our, what I call the sirens, which are like the things that we reach for, that we long for. And either we get led into the forest where we lose ourselves, or down into the depths of the ocean where we crash and we drown, or we get guided into the parts of us that we long for, that hold those keys of our awakening, of our remembrance of who we are, of what we're connected to, of what realms, what beings, what elements are we really connected to, you know? And so to me, it's a beautiful message in the siren that draws us and calls to us to go, to seek, to long, and then to find ourselves, to find our wholeness, to realize that we're actually that which we're seeking for, that we are that. So it's this time of calling us to embody and be that which we seek, you know. And it's really beautiful because it's opposing all of that Virgo and all of those planets. It's our egoic planets. It's the ones closest to the sun and Mars and Mercury and Venus. Those are our internal planets representing our ego, representing how we are nourished, what we want to receive. Our inner feminine, our inner masculine is like what we want to do. How do we do this, you know? And our Mercury is our mind. We want to talk about it. We want to figure it out. We want to collect. And so all of those planets are in Virgo saying, okay, it's time to get things done. We want to bring this longing. We want to bring this information, this desire, this connection to spirit and to each other into something practical, which is beautiful, you know. And yet it's asking, is it in alignment? Are your daily routines, are the things that you do, the things that you're seeking, the things that you're working for, are they feeding that spirit? Are they bringing you into that place of longing and connection and wholeness? You know, are you allowing that rapture to happen with the form and the structure and the practice that you are creating for yourself? If not, we will get overwhelmed by the tasks. We'll get overwhelmed by the bureaucracies, by the earth, by the structures, by all that doing. We'll be overwhelmed by it. Because Neptune and the moon now is there saying there's this deep, huge call for us to be raptured, for us to connect even higher, deeper, longer, wider, to expand our capacity to connect intimately and spiritually. This is a moment for a deepening in our spiritual practice, for a deepening in our energetic capacity to open, to receive. This is for artists and for musicians and for really anyone that is willing to see through those veils and to reach higher for those places of extra communication, for those songs, and bring down those dances, bring through those books and those offerings, anything that the spirits and that the other dimensions are offering right now. This is a time, I feel, when the veil is getting thin, you know. The veil is getting thin. We're moving into fall, for those of you on the other side of the world. And yet it's also because Neptune and the moon are opening it up, saying this is time to connect to those other dimensions. This is time to expand yourself. And yet all of those planets in Virgo are saying, yeah, and you better bring it here. You better bring it down, you know. And so a really practical way for me to work with this energy that I offer you is finding every day where those daily routines and those practices can bring you into alignment with your body and alignment with what you're here to devote yourself to. And be really clear on what you're manifesting, because this energy of Earth and it's still trining all of that Capricorn, saying that this is a time to be the author, to manifest what you're here to devote, what you're tending your seeds, and what you need to release and let go of. To me right now, the intentions and the magic is supporting our manifesting. Every prayer that I've made with the moon over the last 2 months has fully come in really quick to be implemented in my life, given me an opportunity to water all those seeds, harvest. It's very strong right now, the magic. Part of us that is being initiated to open to more of an influx of inspiration and connection and spirit with that Piscean energy with Neptune and the moon, while bringing it into the structures of our life. How do we implement that into our relationships, our boundaries? How do we bring it into our work? How do we bring it into our home? And on a practical way, it's like deep clean time. It's organization time. It's detox time. And so coming back to how we practically work with that is by creating that daily routine, is by doing the diligent work, tending and sowing and harvesting, separating the wheat from the chaff, creating the structures that support all of this. Making sure that Neptune and that moon in Pisces is fed, giving time to your dreams. Me as a musician, it's like I have to write, I have to sing, I have to drum every day, because if I don't, this tension and this frustration starts to really get at me with doing all this work, doing all this practical things, But if I give myself Neptune, Piscean time, then all of a sudden that work starts to come into alignment, and it's blessed. Giving your dreams time, writing them down, feeling them, meditating, singing, moving, whatever brings you in to that interdimensional, worshipful, connected and intimate space. That also goes for our relationships. Giving ourselves time to enter into the magic of what relationship is. Forgiving, accepting, and truly opening to each other. Holding that sacred space for one another. And letting the bureaucracies and the daily tasks and the stresses go for at least a container, for at least a moment in your day every day, so that you can allow that Piscean part of you to be raptured. Otherwise, the feelings of depression and abandonment and loss and fracture, or the frustration of being overwhelmed again by the tasks of life come, And so those cues of when our body isn't feeling good, Virgo is all about the body, about healing crises. And so it's when our bodies are screaming out, there is the call and the invitation to get something is out of alignment, get it back in, do what you need to do to get yourself in alignment. When you feel lost or depressed or, like I said, frustrated, it's our spirit is crying out, and this depression and this frustration, it can be a lot to work through, especially when the full moon happens. These gates, these hormones, these emotions are going to be big, I don't know about you guys, but for this week, I was feeling extremely emotional. Just longing. Like, I would look at my love and I'd just be like, I long for you. I miss you. And I don't even know why. I just miss you. And we were working so hard and so much. And I was just like missing her. And then I watched How to Train Your Dragon and saw the black and the white dragon. And I just longed. And there's a part of me that just remembered, the journey with the dragons and the serpents. And, for some of you might think I'm crazy, but there's a deep part of my soul that remembers that connection to nature and to the spiritual world, and grieves that loss, grieves that bridge being broken. And to me, Pisces is grief and praise. It is that journey of beautiful, transcendental, intimate, merging and remembering and opening. And it is the grief and the loss of letting the relationships, letting parts of the self, letting parts of everyone else, time go. So this is a time, especially if you look, if you have any personal planets in those later degrees of Pisces, Neptune conjuncting a personal planet, it brings this dissolving of the ego. It brings this letting go. So wherever it is, if it's on your sun or your Mercury or your Venus, whatever that planet deeply longs for, that Neptune is there to try to dissolve it and to peel down and peel off these layers, reveal the parts of that planet that's seeking externally and draw it into deep soul fulfillment. And that is beautiful, but humbling and disorienting. And speaking of disorienting, this is all being squared by Jupiter, which is a very big moment because Jupiter has been in Sagittarius for the last 10 months. And so Jupiter being in Sagittarius, and it's been squaring Neptune. And Jupiter will leave Sagittarius in December. And so over these next 2.5 months, it's really a potent time for us to glean, learn the lessons of Jupiter in Sagittarius. And a part of that is this squaring of the Virgo Pisces. And so Jupiter in Sagittarius, how does that square Virgo and Pisces? It's asking us to really come back into our purpose. It's asking us to really align our fire and our intention. It's got that arrow, and it's asking us to really get it direct and really make sure that our belief systems and our energy is propelling us towards our purpose, towards our sense of truth. Neptune in Pisces squaring Jupiter in Sagittarius says, are you sure that the path that you've chosen, that the fire of purpose and truth is actually in alignment? Or are you going to be disillusioned? Are you fighting and martyring and preaching and being dogmatic about a truth and a purpose and a way of life, like a spiritual calling that is actually false? It brings spiritual disillusionment, which can be a beautiful gift, and it can be really traumatizing. For anyone that has ever experienced the profound sense of loss and grief that comes with losing what you feel you want to devote yourself to what you feel is bringing you into that connection with spirit. The losing your religion or your beliefs of truth and purpose is a profound letting go. It's a profound loss to the ego and to the self. And yet it can bring us into something that is deeper. It can bring us into a new relationship to spirit and connection and truth, and that propel us even further. So this has been a time, potentially, of reworking some of our beliefs and our directions around purpose and truth and God and spirit. You know, it's also squaring all that Virgo, and so it's asking that which you devote yourself to, that which you internalize, the judgments or the shame or the criticism, this deep need for existential worth to like make yourself perfect. Virgo needs to create itself as a vessel for the holy, to create oneself to be masterful, to perfect its craft, its art, its vessel, to offer it to spirit. So making sure that purpose and those truths are leading you to your relationship to spirit, and that what you're devoted to, what you're working on perfecting, and all the work that you're doing inside and outside are supporting that, you know, and allowing yourself to have this ego and to have these truths and these senses of purpose and God and deeper spirituality, allowing that to be worked a little bit, you know, making sure that you're not stuck in your direction, because this is a time where those directions, we're reclaiming that devotion, and we are bringing ourselves into a deeper alignment, and that might cause us to let some things go. That might cause us to reconfigure how that looks. You know, Virgo can get really, this is right, this is wrong, this is the way to do it. Sagittarius can also be like, this is the path to God, you know. And that Neptune in Pisces is like, is it? And what do you do? That rug gets lifted out from under your feet. What do you do when that guru fails you? What do you do when that truth no longer holds true? You know, let it shake the foundations, but don't let it shake the connection to spirit. Don't let it shake your worthiness to be in that connection. Whew. Yeah. That Virgo sometimes can internalize that guilt and that shame of that dogma. And so this is an extra invitation to feel into those places of internalized shame and guilt and worthiness. And open to magic, open to the creative potential that this longing that is rising up from the deep wells of our being with the moon and Neptune is giving us. Don't reach for those empty bottles. Don't cling to those dead scriptures. Let life and spirit and a co-creative relationship be woven into all of that which you are doing. Let it be living. Let it be shifting and shaping and evolving you. And let that Capricorn call bring you into authorship and empowerment to work with all of this, to work with all of this energy. You know, let that Capricorn be like, bring that priestess, bring that elder forward inside of you that's like, this is how I want to work with these needs. This is how I want to work with this confusion, with this sense of longing, with this lost energy. This is how I want to work with it. I want to make a context, a container for it, because now is the time. Don't put your needs or these deep places of longing on hold. It's like if you don't give Neptune and the moon that time, it will take you under. So make sure when those sirens rise up to wake up, become lucid, and follow. But don't get lost. If that makes any sense. All of this is a place where it's asking you to wake up inside of this lucid dream so that you can co-create within it. And so that said, this is some beautiful, potent, and powerful energy. May you be inspired. May you be supported to bring your body into alignment, to devote yourself, and to give that Neptune and that moon inside of you, that deep Piscean longing for worship and rapture and connection in whatever way you want to have it, whatever way you want to receive it and open to it. Give time for that so that it doesn't take time. And find the ways where that fire of purpose and truth, Jupiter and Sag, find the ways where it can refine those parts of you that do the work and the routines, the practicality, and it can refine that part of you that longs and seeks and praises. It's squaring, but that's only an invitation for refining yourself, for refining the ways where these elements and archetypes live inside of you. All right, so many blessings.